22 years old, and I donated my kidney to my little brother Grant about a little over a year ago, back in December 22nd, 2021. So the evaluation process itself took about 2 days, and it was a little bit easier for me because I had my family with me there. I had my mom, dad, and little brother involved in the whole process. I wouldn't say there was anything that took me by surprise, but there definitely were a few things that I didn't understand that they even needed to evaluate. It was a lot more complicated than I expected. There was no physical pain involved. There was nothing that scared me, but there was a lot of things that I didn't understand that even I had to go through myself, and they had to understand about me to give my kidney to someone else. It wasn't as challenging as I thought it was going to be, but it was definitely mentally taxing for me. It was very emotional. Emotional because of how excited I was, and it's something that I will never forget. And just because it was emotionally taxing doesn't make it a bad thing. I will never forget those emotions for the rest of my life. It was two of the most important days of my entire life. I had a few blood tests. I had to get some vials of blood drawn. I had essentially a psychiatric test to make sure that I was in the right frame of mind before I did something so drastic and put my body through something that intense. And physically, I was very healthy. My blood type matched, and my headspace was amazing. That I wasn't doing it for the wrong reasons. That I didn't have anyone forcing me to do it. I didn't have my family pressuring me to give my kidney so that they could have another son. I went out of my way on my own to make sure they knew that I wanted to be the person to save his life. I wanted to be that. And the psychiatric evaluation made sure that I was in the right frame of mind to be able to endure this. I had to drink a little vial of black liquid that they were able to do an X-ray on my internal organs to make sure that they could handle it as well, and that I was functioning properly. And just because I'm telling myself that I was okay too doesn't mean that I was physically okay too. So to have someone check that off, a professional in the medical field that is telling you to your face that you are strong enough to do this is another thing that helped me mentally know that I was ready for it. And that it wasn't just my life experiences or my relationship with my brother, or whoever that may be to you, the relationship with this person that you're willing to give up your organ to, that you're not just running off of the idea that you can just tell yourself you're ready. You have someone reading your body, reading everything about you to make sure that you are able to go into that room and come out healthy on the other side. I found out the news that I was cleared to be a living donor a few weeks afterwards. I had left the process in Denver and gone back home because I'm a full-time student at the University of Utah, and I was in the process of finishing up some of my midterms at the time, and I went to go get a sandwich just to de-stress, and I was in the middle of the line, and I got a call from Porter Advent Hospital, and they said, "Hey, is this Mack?" And I said, "Yes, this is." And they said, "Hey, I've got some great news for you. You got cleared. You are a great match to donate your kidney to your little brother." And I'm bawling my eyes out, just tears of joy. And they're handing me my sandwich, and I'm bawling. Uncontrollable happy tears, and trying to explain that I'm okay, that I'm doing all right. And that was probably the best phone call I've ever received. So when I found out, the first thing I did is I called my mom. I called my mom immediately to let her know that I was going to be able to do it. And then I have an amazing relationship with my brother, and And just because I was going out of my way to make sure that he got a kidney didn't change our relationship at all. I've always had an incredible relationship with my brother. We've always joked and given each other a hard time. And I didn't want to make this process change our relationship and make it feel like he owed me anything, or because I knew he would do the same thing for me. So I just sent a text in our family group chat that we use every day. And because kidney donation would go around the time of Christmas, it was 3 days before Christmas. It was on the 22nd. I just texted in our group chat, in our family group chat, and just said, "Merry Christmas, G. I just got cleared to give you my kidney." The Porter Avid team was amazing. They never discouraged me once in the whole process. They made sure that I understood the risks that I was taking for my brother, and they made sure that I understand everything that I was taking on and made sure that I was comfortable with it along the way. But never once did they discourage me in what I really wanted to do. The only time they asked me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I was asked one time by a social worker, and I broke down crying. I was unable to hold in my emotions because it was the most important thing I've ever done, and it was something that I prepared myself for almost a decade at that point. And to have them ask me if I was sure that I wanted to do this almost seemed like some terrible joke. And they never asked me again because they saw how important it was to me, and I was able to share my emotions with them, and they were very comfortable with everything. And sharing my emotions with them, they understood immediately and never once asked me again. It was very quick. I believe it was only about 3 or 4 hours, but I just went to sleep on the table and woke up, and I didn't even feel like I was out for more than a minute. I woke up definitely a little bit uncomfortable and slightly dazed, but they kept me on enough medication that I was never too far uncomfortable that like I had ever thought about regretting it or regretting my decision. There was definitely some temporary pain. I was uncomfortable and I was in pain, but I would not trade that for the world. I was nervous for a while that the pain that would come from this surgery would make me rethink my actions, but it was about 3 days of being in the hospital and a little bit of pain for just the most beautiful thing I could have ever imagined. I would say for anyone out there that's a little bit nervous about the pain factor or anything they're gonna have to endure, I haven't looked back one time at this interaction or anything that I've gone through in this whole process and felt like the give was more, I was giving more than I was getting back. I don't believe that pain should hold anyone back from doing the most important thing you could ever do with your life, which is saving someone else's or someone that's very important to you. And I would do it again in a heartbeat just to make sure that my little brother's still around today and still kicking. Recovery was very quick. I was uncomfortable for about a week, and then after that I was cleared to go back to college. I left after a week of my surgery. Within 1 week of surgery, I was on a hospital bed, and then a week later I was back in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah, and was back in classes. I wasn't in classes physically, but I was on Zoom meetings. I was there for everything. I was back in a good state of mind. But for the first 3 months, I wasn't able to carry anything heavy. And I love to work out. I love to be very active. And 3 months I thought was gonna feel like forever. But it was so much easier because I could just call my brother every day, and we were both on bed rest. We were both, needed some entertainment in our lives. So FaceTiming him every day made it go by a lot quicker, and it was a lot smoother than I expected. I'm a little bit over a year out, and I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And the recovery process was very, very smooth. My doctor was incredible. He called me all the time, and anytime I had questions on if there were certain foods I couldn't eat, or if there were certain things I couldn't drink, or at what point could I start transitioning into picking up heavy weights or getting back into cardio, or anything that I really enjoyed with my free time, I was able to just call my doctor right away, and I had his personal cell phone number. He called in to check on me almost as much as I called him with questions. And it just made me feel very, very safe and taken care of. Most important question to me at the moment, because I would not be the man I am today without going through the past year of my life in kidney donation. And I would say it's honestly the best decision I've ever made in my 22 years of life. It's changed my relationship with my brother and the relationship with my family in the most positive way I could have ever expected. It's changed my outlook on life. I don't wake up sad. I don't wake up upset. I don't wake up in a bad mood ever. I wake up every single day knowing that I've made the hardest decision. I know what it takes to go down a very hard path. I know what it looks like to see my family at rock bottom. Thinking that I was going to lose a family member, lose my little brother, lose everything. And I know what it looks like today to be on the other side and to be healthy and to be happy and to be whole again. I did something I've always wanted to do, which is give more life to this world and give someone a second chance, and especially someone that I love so much. There's nothing that I will ever go through that is harder than that. And I wake up thankful every single day. And if you're thinking that there's things that are holding you back, if you're nervous about giving up your own time, giving up your own chance at life, if you're giving up, I would give up everything over and over again to be able to give my little brother a hug every day. My only recommendation out there is to just not think about it too much. If you're really considering organ donation, don't overthink it. Don't overthink the pain or a recovery process, because it will never be as bad as you think it is. I freaked myself out a little bit at the beginning and way overthought it. My advice to you would just be to go try something that you never thought you could even imagine. It will change the way you look at life, the way you look at your family, the way you look at your loved ones, the way you look at your time. I don't look at anything the same anymore. It's the biggest eye-opening experience I've ever gone through in my life. And the most important thing you can do with your time is give back to others. It's a rewarding feeling like no other, and there's no pain or recovery process that should keep you away from feeling that with yourself. It's incredibly self-rewarding, and it will change everything in every aspect of your life in ways you could never imagine. If you are nervous about, risking your own time, risking your own life to do this, to put into perspective, you're taking almost a larger risk anytime you get behind the wheel of a car with your own life, with your own time, than getting on that operating table. And it's worth it, and it gives back tenfold.